Hi everybody, it's Alex Newton from K-lytics. Today I'd like to talk about Amazon print bestseller lists and about why they may not show what they're supposed to show. Now, everybody loves bestseller lists. Book retailers love them because they are a great selling tool, and that is why Amazon has a whole section devoted to bestseller lists on their Amazon book website. For consumers or the readers, or lazy readers I shall say, they make life supposedly easier because they present the good books by majority opinion. Authors love or hate them depending on whether they are on them or not. And for publishers, they're a good gauge about what's selling or not. Amazon just recently introduced the National Weekly Book List, where we have Amazon charts most read, Amazon charts most sold, the New York Times bestsellers, then they introduced editors' picks. And here we have the category bestseller lists. For those of you who follow K-lytics, you know we traditionally always looked very closely at the Kindle bestseller lists when we talk about the performance of certain genres in our K-lytics monthly reports. When we go through, how various fiction and non-fiction categories are doing, or when we take a very close and detailed look at what parts of the book market are the most profitable for publishers and authors. But that's all very much centered around the ebook format, and we had a couple of members who requested for me to take a closer look at the print bestsellers and what are the best markets from a print perspective, and that's when I recently started to really take a closer look. Now, before we start, here are some words of a disclaimer. What I'm about to show you is not saying that Amazon is doing anything here on purpose, misleading customers. No. But let's put it this way, what I saw in the print bestseller lists on Amazon at least caused me to raise an eyebrow. What I'm about to show you is what I see as a potential glitch, or I'm simply showing you how I read the data that is shown on the Amazon website. I have not talked this through with Amazon, nor do I have the insight how they calculate certain sales ranks behind the scene, but I will show you some things that simply don't make sense and which, if you do believe the numbers, especially as an author or publisher, may lead you astray. Many of us know the Kindle bestseller list very well. If you click on these, you get to the Amazon bestsellers here explicitly in the Kindle store. You click on a book. You all know you find Amazon sales rank at the very bottom of the page. In this case, it is explicitly the Amazon bestseller rank in the as a paid book in the Kindle store. And by definition, it is ebooks. Now, mind you, Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing on its support side talks about sales ranks, about sales ranking, how they come about. And if you go a little bit further down here on their support page, there is an explicit note which says each available format of your book, ebook or paperback, has its own independent Amazon bestsellers rank. I read it again. Each available format of your book, ebook, paperback, has its own, and that's my emphasis, independent Amazon bestsellers rank. So when you go onto the Amazon website and click on print bestsellers, I think it's fair to assume that you would expect that the bestseller lists you find are an independent bestseller list for print books. So paperback, hardcover, or any other print-related format. Now, on this very first page of this book's Amazon bestseller list, everything seems to be in order. If I take here the number one, the format is always shown here. Hardcover, the next one is a hardcover, then here a board book, a hardcover. You go down the list, paperback, hardcover. This seems all in order. So you have here print books. This is the ranks 1 to 20, 21 to 40. You find many hardcover books here highlighted in yellow. The other ones are paperbacks or board books. And this picture doesn't change when you go down all the way down to number 100 in the Amazon store overall. Now, on first sight, there's one anomaly, which is you also within books, you find here a subcategory books on CD, and you find Audible audiobooks. And at this point, I said, well, okay, fair enough. They just lumped it in here under books. Now, when you click on a certain category, let's take the first one here, arts and photography. Also here, I see paperback, hardcover, paperback, and so on and so forth. If you scroll down, naturally in arts and photography, I think you would expect print-related formats. So when I click on any of these arts and photography books, like here, Humans of New York, and I get to the book page, it defaults to the hardcover edition in this case, and I go to the bottom of the product details, I see here Amazon bestsellers rank 42 in books. So to me, my impression was, well, that's number 42 in print books. And here in all these book categories, which are further down in the hierarchy, this book ranks as number 1 in these respective sub and sub-sub and sub-sub-sub categories. But let's now go back to the overall books bestseller list here, and let's select another category. Let's go right to the extreme case. Let's go to the romance category in books. Well, mind you, not Kindle books, but in books. And the first strange thing that meets the eye is that many of these romance books, in fact, the vast majority, they show here the Kindle edition as the book that made it into this books ranking. Mind you, the ranking that I clicked on when I clicked on print bestsellers. Let's look at an example here. Let's take this book here, Surprise Package, which to me as the consumer or author is presented here as the number 3 bestseller in the books bestseller list, which I believe to be a print bestseller list. When you click on it, you're first surprised that the book defaults to the Kindle edition. So when you go down to the book detail information, it automatically shows here not the book bestseller rank, but the Amazon bestseller rank paid in the Kindle store, which is like really exceptionally good ranking, 14 in the Kindle store. But here it comes. When you click on the paperback edition, so this book does have a print edition, you will find that the print book here, when you go down and look at the product detail, the bestseller rank information right here, it says it has a sales rank of 68,944 in books. So in other words, as a print book, the paper book has a really bad overall ranking. Well, given that there is like millions and millions of print books, is like not super bad, but there is no way that with a sales performance here of this paperback with sales rank 68,000, that this book can be a number 3 in romance as a book, meaning a print book. So just to recap, you have here the landing page here, or one of the first pages in the Amazon Kindle store, which talks about bestsellers. You click on print bestsellers. It leads you to this bestseller list here, which is the books bestseller list. If you click on romance, it takes you to the romance book bestseller list, and it presents you here with this number 3 book. But when you go into it, it defaults to a Kindle edition, and it has a related paperback edition that has really bad sales. So the only way it can show up here, number 3 position here in books romance overall, can only be a function of the sales performance of the ebook and not of the paperback. And there's an even more striking example. So click print bestsellers. On that bestseller list, go down and click on romance. In romance, go a little bit further down. We'll take this example here, the book called The Cabin. What I now believe to be here a very successful print edition romance book. But if you click on it, you will be very surprised to find that there isn't even any print edition available. And when you go down, it will show you that it is ranking bestseller rank 24 in the Kindle store. It has a number 1 ranking in the Kindle store subcategory here, women's fiction, action and adventure. And it also ranks in books, in romance, new adult and college, and in romantic comedy. But you see, that is in books, that's not in the Kindle store. But since there is no print book edition, this must mean, and this is my personal conclusion, that the Amazon quote-unquote print bestseller lists are in fact just book bestseller lists. And once you click down to the category level, you will find all sorts of formats, and it will basically show those formats that achieve the highest level of sales. So I had a closer look at all those quote-unquote books bestseller lists. And here is the result. This graph here shows the share of formats in each of the books Amazon category bestseller lists. So if we go here to books, romance, Amazon bestsellers, you will see that the bestseller list is basically here marked in yellow, basically composed of Kindle books. Therefore, the result here, the top category here, romance, 93% of the books in the top 100 bestseller lists are in fact Kindle editions and not print books. So the performance, the position of the books in this top 100 books bestseller list is driven by Kindle sales, not by print sales. That is my interpretation of this data. Let's take another example here. Mystery, thriller, suspense. Also here, marked in yellow, you see a lot of the books here have a position in the bestseller list as the Kindle edition. Take this example here. The book Only the Rain by Randall Silvis. If you click on it, you see this book is basically the Kindle edition, and it ranks very high in the Kindle store. In fact, it's here the number 4 out of more than 3.5 million English books on the Kindle store. If you click on the hardcover edition, which is the only available print book edition, well, the overall rank in books, Amazon overall, is 30,000. So the reason it ranks here number 2 also in books overall is the Kindle sales, not the hardcover book sales. And therefore, it's also not a surprise that mystery, thriller, and suspense, the whole books category here, 75% of the books in the top 100 are actually the Kindle editions. Literature and fiction overall, 73%. Science fiction and fantasy, 66%. And then after teens, you get here a little bit of a drop-off. And then unsurprisingly, in travel books, you get much more here, the hardcover in paperback editions, Christian book and Bibles, then also in non-fiction, business and money books. Unsurprisingly, I think, looking at the demographics of typical Kindle owners, you find those books more geared towards paperbacks and hardcovers. And if you go all the way down to the list, it also doesn't come as a surprise that here in cookbooks, food and wine, only 11% of the books in the top 100 book bestseller lists are Kindle editions. And even more so, children's books, only 7% of the top 100 are ebooks. Now, there's a lot more that could be said about this graph. There is things like the questions. Well, if I have a romance book, should I also have the corresponding print edition? Well, there may be reasons for it, but you clearly see that at least according to the top 100, where the bulk is, it seems that it's really the ebooks driving the sales and not the print books. I have to say, I was surprised to see such a high ebook edition share in the top 100 for mystery, thriller, and suspense, and literature and fiction overall. So I will certainly keep monitoring these numbers, and I look forward to discussing with you how you view these numbers. In conclusion, so far, now the Amazon book bestseller list contain paperback, hardcovers, Kindle edition, large print, Audible, audio edition, and other more exotic formats. So not just print, as many people believe, and what you could infer from clicking on this picture here, print bestsellers, when you are on the bestseller page here on Amazon. And by the way here, one more argument in favor of books meaning more than just print books in Amazon terminology is if you go in the overall books page where you have here the sidebar with all sorts of filtering options such as the categories, if you scroll further down you can refine the books by certain formats, and also here you find all available formats including the Kindle format and the audiobooks format, audio CD and Audible edition, all under the headline of book. Another argument why those so-called print bestsellers lists are not only print. So this means when you click on print bestsellers, you will get to category bestseller lists that do not necessarily contain print editions only. In fact, these Amazon book bestseller lists for romance, including gay and lesbian, mystery, thriller, suspense, literature and fiction, science fiction and fantasy are largely dominated by ebook editions, not print. And the Kindle store is actually the only place where you really find format-specific bestseller rank information on a book page. So if you're in the Kindle store and you click on any book, you will get at the bottom of the page the specific rank information here, number 17 in the Kindle store paid. That means out of more than 4 million English speaking titles, more than 5.8 million Kindle ebooks overall in the Amazon Kindle store. By contrast, for any book you click on, where you have here the print format, you only get a rank information here for Amazon sales rank in books, which it will be relative to all other formats. And when you go, for example, into the Audible store and click on any Audible book here, there you will find that there is no rank information at all. There is category ranks for books. That means competing with here in Audible audiobooks. That's only 100 books. There is no Amazon bestseller rank like overall in the Audible store. That information, at least at this stage, is not available, just that you know. And this is why this whole presentation was entitled Amazon Print Bestseller Lists, why they may not show what they're supposed to show, because they are just book bestseller lists, not just print edition bestseller lists. And as you've seen, many of these bestseller lists are actually, the big ones are dominated by Kindle editions, not by the respective print editions. All right, if you like this type of analysis, if you're not a member yet or want to see specific genre reports, if you want to find the best book market opportunities in seconds, come check us out at K-lytics.com. That's K-lytics.com. This is Alex Newton from K-lytics, ebook market intelligence for success.